B-Leaguers, it's your boy here, Dan at the B-League says, coming at you with a Week 11 NFL Pick'ems Props show. We are back after a week off. We're feeling good. We're feeling fresh. We've got some good props ready to go to talk about in this week, and I feel pretty good about them, to be honest. I like what we have on the cards here. I like it very much. Before I get started, as always, a little bit of house cleaning. The first thing is to go over to our Going for Two Live Discord. It's the best Discord out there. It's free, absolutely free. 100% free for you to go use. It's a great place where you can get all the information you need for all aspects of fantasy sport, gambling, all that sort of stuff that you could use. You want waiver wire pickups, you want fab bidding products, you want any sort of trade advice, dynasty advice, redraft advice, best ball advice, prop advice, anything that you could possibly use there, chop league advice. You want start-sit advice between Breece Hall and Zay Flowers, you can go there for it. You can go there for anything this week. At generally all long, it's 52 weeks long. Scott Fishbowl advice, head over there. It's everything that you could possibly need in terms of a hub for all aspects fantasy football or fantasy sports going about. As always, our affiliation with Underdog Fantasy, promo code GF2 for 100% matching deposit up to $1,000. You get that credit back. It's a fantastic place to get started with your prop bets. It's a wonderful place to be. On this wonderful Saturday morning, we're going to kick off with our props for the Sunday games. We're going to look at, I don't know why we wouldn't look at this. I feel like this is a bit of a given because, you know, what he did to them last time, maybe. We're looking at Ja'Marr Chase. We're going to go higher than 11.5 targets at Pittsburgh. Like, I just want to say, to quickly summarize this, 3 weeks ago on a short week, in Joe Flacco's second game in 4 days. Remember, he went to Green Bay, he played, and then they had a short game on the Thursday night. They played Green Bay, and then they played Pittsburgh at home. It was a cracking game. At home against the Steelers, Ja'Marr Chase punched out a 23 targets, 16 reception, 161 yards, and 1 touchdown against the Steelers. Now, if you thought it was bad for the Steelers then, they have had to reshuffle the absolute life out of their secondary. They've had injuries all across the board. It has only gotten projectively worse for them in that regard. And I know what you're thinking. There's no way that can happen again for Chase. I understand, but au contraire, mon frère. Ja'Marr Chase the next week against the Jets with 19 targets, 12 receptions, 91 yards. 57% of Ja'Marr Chase's targets have come from Joe Flacco in 4 games this year. Think about that for a second. So 21% of his 107 targets this year came versus the Steelers, who he plays this week. So 21%. A fifth of all your targets came in one game against one opponent. You're playing them a month later. I like that for him. But the Steelers naturally, they've played one game less than a lot of teams this year, and, you know, 11 if you want to count the Patriots and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, they've given up the most targets to receivers as well, being one of 5 teams to give up over 100 targets already this year to wide receivers, already with an average of 25 per week, which is kind of crazy because 23 of them went to Ja'Marr Chase 3 weeks ago. What are we doing here? Listen, even if Chase doesn't have a stupid game like he did 3 weeks ago, even a balanced matched up can get him to his weekly average of 12. So he's averaging 12, and he punched 23 against them 3 weeks ago. I feel like he could be in line for a really, really big game. Pick number 2, I feel bad for picking on this guy because I feel like he's had a pretty good season, but by proxy from injuries. But hey, listen, someone has to step up. Someone has to do the job. We're going to go Cade Otton lower than 41.5 receiving yards at Buffalo this week. Look, the Bills this year, they've been eating tight end production up. They've succumbed to fewest targets, receptions, yards, and touchdowns to the position. An average of 3.5 targets, 2.5 receptions, 26 yards a game. They've only allowed 1 touchdown as well. So in terms of production from Cade Otton this week, I feel like across the board, he's going to hit lower on that all across the board. I don't like this matchup for him at all. And while I can appreciate the year Otton has had, a lot of it's come via injuries. As I said, Mike Evans goes down. Chris Godwin didn't really get started. Ibuka's been in and out. He's been injured. Jalen McMillan, haven't seen him. Although I miss you. Bucky Irving, another player in the backfield that can get receptions, hasn't been there. So someone has to be the funnel. It happens to be him or Sterling Shepard. You know, who else would you go to at this point? Some of his props are decent, though, for Cade Otton this week. His longest reception probably appeals to me more than his other totals, which seems like a bit of a contradiction to saying, I don't think he's going to get to 41.5 if I think he could smash 16.5. I kind of feel like this one's a good prop. If he gets 1 or 2 receptions, this might be the way to get there if he goes over across the line. Look, he's gone over this marker on 4 of his last 5 games, and the one he missed, he still hit 16 yards. So in that realm, he's getting that long bomb for a tight end, if you want to call that up the seam. I feel like that's a place that he can go. I just don't believe that this is the week for him or this team where his general props of targets, receptions, yards, and touchdowns, I think he kind of hits the skids this week in a tough matchup at Buffalo this week, who weren't great the last time we saw them, were they? Pick number 3, I love an IDP prop. Why the hell wouldn't I? Khalil Mack higher than half a sack at Jacksonville. He also gets the 1.5x, 1.05x, a little bit of extra on there, not much, but a little bit. Khalil Mack, look, since coming back from a short-term injury, hasn't really skipped a beat. Total 4 sacks in his last 5 games and notched up a few forced fumbles in that time too. The benefit of this is he gets Trevor Lawrence, who, in general, this year, he's been eating sacks for fun. He's already bordering on around 3 per game now while hitting 20 sacks in his last 4 games. Now, he's currently only 9 sacks behind his career worst or career high of 35. I call it a worst because it's pretty bad that he got that far, but his career high of sacks is 35. He's already at, 25 or 26? He's already there. So, kind of looking at the informed D-line against the guy who's on track for getting sacked the most in his life. So, I feel like this is a pretty good matchup for Khalil Mack out at Jacksonville this week. Pick number 4, again, this guy's kind of come under the cosh this week a little bit. Bryce Young, lower than 163 passing yards, 63.5 passing yards. Well, I guess 163 doesn't really matter. At Atlanta, look, this is, again, it's a bit of a weird one. What are they, 5-5, 5-4? They're doing it right. Just not because of him. They're doing well because of Rico Dowdle and the run game and dudes making the odd play here or there. They're not actually that good of a team. I feel like that's not a really egregious thing to say. But look, they just lost their first game in 5. They went 4 straight. Prior to that, they've been one of the form teams in the NFL, and yet Bryce Young has had nothing to do with it. This week, it's come on the lens because the Panthers have struggled to go long, which is kind of crazy because you've got Tech McMillan, you bring back Jalen Coker, you got a few guys, Leggett can go long, you got a few guys like that can. And yet they don't. In his last 3 starts, he's gone under 140. Okay, that's kind of crazy to me. Against Atlanta in week 3, in a 30-point win, they drubbed him. He only punched out 125 passing yards. He's gone under 163.5 in 6 out of 9 this year. That's kind of crazy to me. He's not really throwing the ball at all. I understand keeping the leash in on him because, maybe Canela's, maybe he isn't his guy. Maybe he isn't. But at the same time, not really getting far with him either. Or high. Doesn't matter. To make it worse, he gets the Falcons, who have been erratic at best, but their pass defense has always been pretty solid this year. They've given up the second fewest passing yards per game at a stingy 183 yards. And again, I mentioned before, he only put 125 on him last time he met him. Panthers' success has been on the ground, and obviously the Falcons have struggled a little bit there. They've given up the 7th most yards to running backs on the ground this year. So I kind of like that if you're a Rico Dowdle person or Chuba Hubbard if you're in deeper leagues, whatever it may be. Speaking of running backs, pick number 5, we're going to go Devon Achane this week, higher than 79.5 rush yards. I think they're playing in Germany. They're playing away. They've got a 9:30 game. I don't know. I don't care. I hate the international games. They suck. Pretty sure they're in Germany. There we go. So Achane, look, even when he hits, when he misses, he hits. Look, 3 of his last 5, he's cruised over this, but it's funny because he's looked better without Tyreek Hill, and him and Waddle have got their groove on. Tua is moving it quicker. Achane is the best option for that to happen. He's a really good player in this regard. I quite like him in the system. I was hating the idea that he would get traded at the deadline. I think he's got the perfect fit with Mike Macdonald in Miami, but that's just me. And look, for this to happen, this matchup has to be right, 79.5. It's a high, how I hate chasing high totals. That's just me. Either way, but at the same time, Washington have been getting up generous to running backs this year, giving up the 4th most yards on the ground, with an easy 107 yards per game on average to running backs. Look, last week we saw Gibbs and Montgomery put up 210 combined. A few weeks before that, Javonte Williams threw up 100 on them as well. Even Isaiah Pacheco, the kind of odd playing Isaiah Pacheco is out there, he still put 60 on him. And I know that's not 79.5, but Pacheco still put 60 on him. Like, that's kind of saying a lot. It's a good week up. Good matchup this week to exploit. Now, as always, I like to go through a Monday night game, and we have one this week. And I feel like the last time I was on, it was Arizona at Dallas, and I was picking on the Cowboys a lot. We came through with 3 for 3 on that one as well, which is pretty good. This week we got Dallas again on another Monday night. Why? We got Dallas again. Who wants to watch Dallas play except for people in Dallas? I don't know. I don't fucking care either way. It doesn't matter. We got Dallas at Las Vegas in a game. Whoever wins gets the Who Cares Cup. I think that's where we're at for both teams. And I'm going to put up a soft little parlay for you. Look, both teams, for what it's worth, they look like they don't know how to win. Maybe they don't want to win, but they don't know how to win at this point. Dallas is somewhat entertaining, at least to a degree, and the Raiders have been hard to see a plan under Geno Smith, Pete Carroll. They moved Jacoby Myers at the deadline as well. So what can we look at here? Look, they're at home, the Raiders. They have nothing to lose, and the Cowboys have given up second most touchdowns to quarterbacks this year, despite playing 1 game less than most. Now, Geno is yet to have back-to-back games with multiple touchdowns since weeks 3 and 4. So it's been a while since he's thrown back-to-back touchdowns. He put up a donut last week. So, erratically, he had 0 that week, then 4 the week before, then 0, then 1, then 0. He's like very binary in that regard. this is the odd week where he might put up 2, and it's a good matchup for him. So I think this week he can change it. I'm going Gino over 1.5 in that regard. And to do that, I think we're going to play a little bit outside the box here because we're going to try and get a little bit of extra juice on one of our picks. Look, Tyler Lockett debuted as a Raider after his release from the Titans. Why did he go there? Why? I know that you're getting older, Tyler Lockett. I know that, you're going to go there with Calvin Ridley and a rookie quarterback and a team that doesn't know what they're doing. And it was kind of on the cards. That was a terrible fit. Doesn't matter. Good player making bad decisions. He gets to go. Obviously goes back to Vegas where he had Geno Smith. He had Geno Smith and Pete Carroll at Seattle. A bit of his cohorts there, those Seattle cohorts there. They're a bit of a reunion. Not that I think he's a guy to cross the line in that regard. I think Trey Tucker's going to have a decent game as well. But look, if you're looking at something a little bit different, at 2.25x for over a touchdown, I think Tyler Lockett might be a sneaky play in this one because of the way the Cowboys have been playing against wide receivers. They're terrible. So at that regard, I feel like that is a decent way to put a little bit of juice on this one. And while we're at it, I think Dallas make their way down to the end zone a fair bit. Raiders have given up 1 rushing touchdown a game on average. And I kind of like Javonte Williams in this one too. His 3rd most rushing touchdowns amongst running backs this year with 8, which obviously Jonathan Taylor's kind of been going berserk, but he's right there with Derrick Henry and everyone else in that regard. So he's doing it okay this year. I feel like it's a good matchup for him. So the idea of a parlay with Geno for 1.5, Tyler Lockett at 2.25x, and Javonte Williams with a touchdown. I kind of like that as well. Before I get going, I'm going to wrap all this up. But before we do, as always, head over to underdogfantasy.com or underdog.com, whatever you want to call it. I think I dropped the fantasy about a year and a half ago. It doesn't matter. It's repetition. Damn it, I've got that in me. Promo code GF2 for 100% matching deposit up to $1,000 on the initial outlay. You get $1,000 of bonus credits. Put on a bonus. You can get on Tyler Lockett touchdowns. Why not? Let's get weird. It's a Saturday, right? I think. Doesn't even matter. And as always, go to the Going for Two Live Discord. It's a fantastic place to be. It's my favorite place in there. I get to watch everyone talk about things like Breece Hall versus Zay Jones or Zay Flowers, or rather Zay Jones with a bum Achilles. It doesn't matter. We're going to look over that. Again, you hear your fab advice, waiver advice, trade advice, dynasty advice, redraft advice, auction advice. You can go get your Scott Fishbowl advice. It's starting to get down to the nitty gritty in that as well, right? So you can get your prop advice. Best ball advice is 100% free. A great place to be. Go find it. And as always, let's wrap this up. I'm Dan at the B-League. Says thanks for joining me this Saturday, fine Saturday morning. Pick number 1, Ja'Marr Chase, higher than 11.5 targets at Pittsburgh. Pick number 2, K. Dotton, lower than 41.5 receiving yards at Buffalo. I don't like his targets. I don't like his receptions. I don't like his yards. I don't like his touchdowns. I like nothing about him. I don't mind his 16.5 longest reception, though. You can have a look at that if that falls a little bit. Pick number 3, Khalil Mack at Jacksonville. We're going higher than half a sack. Trevor Lawrence is going to get it. We know this is coming. Pick number 4, Bryce Young, lower than 163.5 pass yards at Atlanta. Pick number 5, Devon Achane, higher than 79.5 rush yards. I think he's in Germany against Washington. And we're going to look at that Monday night parlay. Again, Geno Smith higher than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Tyler Lockett at 2.25x on a receiving touchdown. And Javonte Williams over half a rush receiving touchdown. I like that for the week. Safe bets, happy punts. Cheers.